Hey everybody, I'm Maddie and welcome back to Diaries of Farmhouse. Today we're talking about something that's pretty trendy right now, pawn. So I'm relatively new to the world of pawn and leca. I've used leca before when I first started with plants. I didn't even know what it was. I had an aquarium that had a planter in the top and it came with leca, and so I had put an arrowhead or syngonium in the top. And if this gives you any idea of how early this was in my plant journey, I didn't even know what a syngonium was or what plant it was. I just knew my mom had given it to me and I had stuck the cuttings in the top of my aquarium and they were doing great. So that's my only experience with semi-hydro, like potting, or I guess hydroponic, semi-hydroponic mediums. So, but recently I was on Instagram and I saw another Instagrammer called Plantings, and I know she sells her own pawn, and I know a lot of people make their own pawn, but I did a lot of research and I ended up buying the Lechuza pawn, which is like the more common brand, and that's like the main company that sells these kinds of pots and kind of specializes in this thing. But I know, like, as far as, like, the pots, it was kind of hard to find any that were not super expensive. As far as pawn, I know there's a lot of great Etsy shops and Instagrammers that sell their own pawn. That's exactly the same as what you would get with Lechuza if you want to support a smaller business. So I just want to say, like, this is my first time doing this. I just kind of wanted to talk about my research and the journey, and that way we can kind of document a few months out where each of these plants are going to be. So, to get started, this is what the bag looks like. This is Lechuza pawn. It's got a bunch of different languages on the back with different instructions, what the substrate is made out of, the nutrient levels. So I'm going to switch this so you guys can still see me. So basically, Lechuza pawn and most pawns are made from rock zeolite and different kinds of fertilizer. So this particular bag, I'm going to read off the back. It says it's a culture substrate for indoor and outdoor potted plants. It's the perfect alternative to conventional potting soil and is structurally stable, supports root aeration, and perfectly controls the water supply. I promise I know how to read. I struggled with that a little bit. But, so it says it contains very little organic matter. It's got a pH value of 7, a salt content of 0.5, and then it just gives like the net volume of this. It says instructions for proper use: store protected from weather and dry or waterlogging, do not expose to direct sunlight. And then it says use only for soil independent cultivation methods, contains boron, copper, and zinc in amounts suitable for plant cultivation, designed and used with planters. The declared nutrient levels refer to the total amount of nutrients added to the substrate as fully encapsulated fertilizer at the time of filling. Nutrients may be released from the fully encapsulated fertilizer when stored for longer periods in conjunction with moisture. So, that is what the back of the bag says. The reason why I was drawn to it is a lot of people said that it is a good, like, self-watering alternative. It prevents root rot, and it'll just overall make your plants a lot happier. So I figure if that's the offer, why not try it? So here we are. I think this bag, I bought it off of Amazon, and it was like $25 or something dollars. I'll put it in the description below, but along with the pots that I got. But I was super excited to try this. Everybody that I've seen try it has been super happy with the results. I watched a ton of other YouTubers. If I can find them again, I'll put their videos in the description below. But basically, the substrate can be mixed in with soil to create aeration and better drainage, as well as like adding nutrients into your soil. But it also, when used on its own, the rocks absorb the water and the moisture and retain that. And then as your plant needs water, it absorbs the water from the rocks and the pieces in the pond. So I think I've covered all of that. That's pretty much the process. That's what the bag looks like. That's what's in it. I have used both. I've put all of these plants are in pond and only pond, and then I have added pond to some of my soil mixtures to help with drainage. So you can use it a variety of ways. Let's get into what I had to do to get these plants prepared to put them in pond. So everything that I read said that you had to remove all of the soil from the roots and get it out of like the crevices and get as much soil away from the roots, off the roots as you can, because it will introduce bacteria into the lechuza pond. So that's what I did. I had some plants that were struggling. I had some plants that were doing okay. But the majority of these are plants that were just not vibing with their soil. And so I decided those would be perfect ones to try with this. Because the plants can absorb the water as they need it, that's the way it prevents root rot. It provides a lot of aeration so that your plants aren't being suffocated by like soggy soil, moist soil. It also prevents bugs because bugs can easily be washed out of it. They also I don't know if they just don't like it, but the main thing I saw was just that because soil has like the bacteria and the mold in it, that it attracts plants. This does not, and like I said, you can also wash the bugs out. So I was like, yeah, that's what I want. So let's get started with some of the ones that are not in like the self-watering pots. I saw a lot of different methods. A lot of people make their own pots. A lot of people buy the pots. A lot of people just put like their plants in mason jars with no drainage. So I figured I'd give all of them a try, give it a fair chance before I come up with my own opinion. I think it's a great idea. I think it's cool. It eliminates soil everywhere. I also forgot to mention that you can reuse it. So it's more sustainable than soil and less wasteful. So I do have some of these that are in just mason jars. A lot of these, goodness, it keeps falling over. A lot of these were cuttings that I'm trying to save. So I figured these would be the best way to use pond to start my cuttings. And I know a lot of people use pond to start cuttings, just like leca. So I have these guys here. Hopefully you can see that. I'm gonna move some stuff around. Okay, so I have a good variety of things. I kind of wanted to try different types of plants just to see how they all responded, because according to Lechuza's website, you can put anything in Lechuza. Anything from cactuses to tropical plants to whatever. So I have a Scindapsus pictus. These are all cuttings that I stuck in here. I have a Marantha. I have a cutting off of my Rhaptophora. That's right here. I have, why did this just go in my head? Dumb cane. I have little Syngonium cuttings. I have a begonia that it died back, and this is all I have left. So I thought that'd be a good cutting to try. And then snake plants from my aunt. So let's start with what I did. So a lot of times, the cuttings are easy because you don't have to wash the soil out. I will tell you that the majority of these plants, aside from the Scindapsus, were dying. Well, I guess aside from the snake plant too. These 5 right here were not doing well. They were dying, and so I decided to try a different method. These little Syngonium cuttings, I ordered them in the mail. They arrived with root rot. There's really no nodes or roots on these, but I figured I'd give it, I had them in water. They didn't really do anything. I had them in soil. I figured maybe if I put them in soil, maybe they'd do something. They didn't. So I've transferred them to pond. You can see that they still have like these little leaves on them. They're still alive, so I figure there's hope. I just fill this container until I can see like the water just in the bottom here. And we'll see if they come out of it. I don't know that they will, but I figure I'd give it a solid try. I have this cutting from I know a lot of people call them Monsteras, Rhaptophora, whatever. I took this cutting from it to see if I could get another plant just in case that one died. So same thing, I fill the water to about here. It really didn't have any roots on it, so we'll see if it develops roots in there. This begonia was a huge begonia. You'll see pictures of it on my Instagram, but it died back. I don't know why, but it did. So I took this cutting. It did have a little bit of roots on it, so I put it in here. I'll fill this with water to about here. And you can see it's still alive. I don't know if you can see, it's got a little growth point there and at the bottom. So that one is definitely looking promising. A lot of these too, I will not, once they develop roots and they are starting to become their own plants, I will not transfer them into soil. I'll probably just leave them in pond because I think that's going to be the easiest way, especially once they've adapted to developing roots in this. So this stem cane, it at one point did have leaves. It was in soil. It died back. I cut it. I've had it in water. It really wasn't doing anything. I put it in lechuza. I filled it with water. And this little leaf right here. So there's like a little dry bit right there. That's where it was when I put it in here. Now it has come out and started to get to the point where it might unfurl here in a couple weeks. So I'd say that one is definitely promising. Happy with that. These guys, I had them in water. I decided to try to transfer them into lechuza instead of soil just to see how they would do. And so far, so good. This little one right here just fell out and the roots look really good. I need to put some more water in there, but that one is looking good. These little Scindapsus pictus, I just knocked one out. I had kind of some trouble getting these started in the past. So I decided to try this. And as you can see, most of them they stay relatively plump. I still need to add some water in there, but I think these will do really well in this. And then lastly, this Marantha. So this is the guy, I had it in my kitchen and it died. I don't know why. Second time it's tried to die, and the third time I've tried to revive it. Or second time, I guess, whatever. But I cut it back, put it in water, it started to get roots, put it in lechuza, and this guy is just happy as can be. Got a new leaf unfurling. I can see some healthy roots growing through the glass right there. Not through, but you can see it through the glass. I think it'll do really well. So all of those look really promising. This method so far has worked really well with cuttings. I have not tried it with fully developed plants, but with all of these cuttings, I think they all look really promising aside from this one. I don't know if anything can save that one, but it's still alive. So overall, I think for this method, I think it's going to work well. Let me set these off to the side. I'm trying to talk fast so that this isn't like 6 hours long. I also have some other stuff to do, so trying to get it done. You're probably going to hear my dogs bark here in a second. So let me set this back somewhere. Oh. So I just took mason jars and these plastic cups, and I cut slits in some of them so that if I filled them from the top, the water could like drain out into the bottom, but also so that there's still airflow in there, just to see if it made a difference. And then I had some pots with self-watering, I don't know, cords in them, and then like the plastic piece that usually pops up in the bottom. So I just cut a hole in the bottom, popped it in, and then set it in the water. And that's what I did with these two. This one, I had some like macrame style cord that I cut, and then I took a bobby pin and then just kind of like pushed it up into the base of the plant. So I have a Hoya here. It hasn't grown since I got it, and I thought maybe if I tried this method, it would start to grow. It hasn't, but it's still absorbing enough moisture that the leaves aren't soggy. It transferred really well. I know a lot of people will just cut Hoyas and put them in there because they don't want to deal with the really fine roots that Hoyas have. But this one happened to be small enough. I just like cleaned out the roots and put it in there. But hopefully it'll start to grow. It's done well. The cord and the water are doing what they're supposed to be doing, so is the pond. I have not watered this. I don't know if you could see, but there's still some moisture in here, and I did this almost a month ago. So that's promising. I've got what's left of my alocasia poly in this one. I don't know if you guys can see. I've got a couple bulbs in there. I don't know that this is going to do anything, but I'm going to see. I'm going to leave it in there. Both bulbs are still alive. Maybe they'll come back. And then this one has a giant Hawaiian pothos cutting in it. And it has a little growth point, like a little leaf trying to grow out of there. It did have like one root. It had been in water for a while. I didn't even know if it was going to grow. I ordered it online. It came, again, the nodes were rotted. I cut them back. I put them in water. The other one died. This one, though, had a good root on it. So I decided to try it and see if I could get it to take and get it to grow. So I do see a little root there that might be, looks like there's a couple of roots in there that are growing. So maybe I'll have my giant Hawaiian pothos soon. But so far with that method, making my own, it seems to be working. The cups are, you can see there's like moisture on the outside of the cups. I haven't watered any of these, but all of these plants are still getting the moisture they need. So hopefully it'll work and those will come back. I'm going to go on to the next way I made my own pots before I get into what Lechuza sells. So this Moonlight Scindapsus, I did have it on the shelf behind me. It was not doing well. I decided to put it in here a couple weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. And then I filled this with water. And then these are just like Allen and Roth orchid containers. I filled it with Lechuza, put these in here, and like I'm amazed because the leaves are starting to unfurl. They've stayed really perky. They're not like droopy anymore. I can see roots trying to poke out of the sides. But overall it looks really healthy, and I think the transfer went really well. This leaf is trying to get a growth on it, a new leaf. These leaves are unfurling. I'm really impressed with what it's done with this one. There's a new leaf coming out there too, so that's a good way to do it. These were only like $3.98, and then I just had this container from a plant I bought at Home Depot a long time ago. So, and then lastly, I had these Hoya cuttings, and they kind of grew on and off. I don't even know that these two have nodes on them. They have roots, but they're not really doing anything, which means they might not have a node. But this one did. And it grows on and off. It'll grow really well, and then it won't. Then it'll grow really well. So I put it in this like container from Costa Farms. It came with a plant I had a long time ago. I fill it with water every so often. I put this in this container. I can see that there are some roots in there, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're growing, and there's a growth point. God, you should take a shot every time I say growth point. But it looks like it's trying to get a new leaf. So, and the leaves are still plump, not droopy. So I think overall, making my own containers has gone well. But I did want to buy some of the ones that are like meant for this so that I could kind of see if there was a difference. Because Lechuza's pots, I'm sure they're wonderful and they have lots of different styles, but they're expensive. Like super expensive. Like $50 and up. Some of them are a little bit cheaper, but you only get one for that price. I got these three for $23 or something, I think, on Amazon, and I'll tag those as well in the comments. But okay, my phone died, so I had to go plug it in. But I'm gonna try to make this quick. So I think I left off talking about these pots. You fill the reservoir. The pond absorbs it, gives your plants the water it needs, and then the nice thing about these is that they have these little monitors, so they kind of tell you like what the water level is. But in these, you can just like look in there and then fill it like an inch, and set the pot down in. So I put these snake plants in here. They were kind of on and off, like doing well, not doing well. So far, they've done really well. They're starting to grow again. There's a pup coming up from this one. The other two were this calathea. This calathea struggled a little bit. It was starting to get a new growth. This had not started to put out a leaf yet. But now that I've put it in pond, it has. So it just made the leaves a little more crispy than they were when I first transferred it. It's definitely absorbing the water. And this little growth point, whatever, this little shoot, has started to let a leaf come out. So it's growing. I'm excited about that. And hopefully it continues putting out that kind of growth. It's only been like a month, I think, since I put these in there, maybe a little bit less. And then lastly is this mini Monstera, or Raftophora. She's a thirsty gal. I filled them all at the same time. These still have about half the water. This one is almost empty. So that's been kind of interesting to watch and see which ones absorb water faster. But this one, I had to cut it back. It was starting to die for whatever reason. I cut it back, put it in new fresh soil. It was still alive, really wasn't doing anything. So I put it in pond, cleaned up the roots. And it hasn't grown, but I think that some of the growth points look like maybe they're starting to swell, like they might put out new growth. And then also the leaves are not as droopy as they were. So I think overall, my final verdict on pond is that no matter which method you use, so far I've seen growth. I've seen my plants get a little bit healthier. Some have not, but they were kind of on their way out before I put them in there. As of right now, I really don't think it matters what kind of method you use, or if you make your own pots. They all have pretty much shown the same kind of growth and positive changes. So I guess that's kind of up to you. I kind of wanted to try some different things. I definitely think this method would probably work best for cuttings, and then for like regular rooted plants would be like the actual pots or making your own self-watering pots. But I'm excited to see where they go. So like and subscribe so you don't miss out on my future pond videos and other videos such as hauls or care tips. I'm going to start doing also like plant profiles, talking about different plants and plant care. So if you don't want to miss out on any of that, go ahead and give a like and a subscribe to my channel. Go follow my socials. I have a Instagram at mad.plants, madd.plants. I also have a shop Instagram at diariesoffarmhouse.shop where we sell plants and plant pots, pet accessories, and more. Hopefully home decor soon as well. And then I also have a Twitter at Pets Plants Home 1. I will put them all in the end card so that you could go check them out. And if you want to go check out my website, it's www.diariesoffarmhouse.com. Go subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss out on any time that we're going to be at local farmers markets in Colorado or when we have new products and sales going on. Thank you for visiting my video and my YouTube, and I will see you guys later.